Girls can now officially join what used to be called the Boy Scouts. Anyone between the ages of 11 and 17 are able to become part of what's now known as Scouts BCA. New this morning, honoring those who serve our country. More drama this morning leading up to the Oscars. The Academy reverses its decision to hand out awards during commercial breaks after getting tons of backlash. Also tell you how you can possibly go on a date with him on Us. That's right. So you definitely got
This seems like a pretty good deal for him.
We are introducing a brand new segment for the month. We're helping a former Buckeye, well, find some love.
That's right.
Yeah, but you also don't want to be too aggressive. I feel like that's kind of a turnoff for some guys if women are like, okay, so what are your long-term goals? And you're on a date and writing things down like a business meeting.
Oh, yeah. No.
All right, so what's been the most difficult thing? Is it just like, are you really putting yourself out there? Like, where are you going to find these ladies?
I do.
Yeah. Limo rides and a dinner provided by Jeff Ruby's Steakhouse and catering by Scott provided food for the volunteers. And of course, there were plenty of dancing as well. And lifestyle expert Rita Fuller-Yates is here with some great ideas. So good morning, Rita. Thank you for being here. Police are releasing new details about an incident outside the ER at OSU East. Now, officers were called out just before 5 o'clock Friday afternoon to report of multiple shots being fired. Yeah, so he's going to compete next year then?
Oh, good question.
Well, it depends. They've changed their qualifications, and he has to get what they call a POC. Rudy. It's okay.
Whoa.
It's okay.
He smells Phil. That's why, because Phil's coming up. Welcome to Good Day Columbus. We're already halfway through February, and today's an important day because it's my dad's birthday.
Oh, it is?
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Well, it was my birthday a week ago. Did we talk about it enough?
Yeah.
Remember, I was trying to let it...
5 hours straight.
Whose birthday?
Kelly will face a judge today after turning himself into Chicago police overnight. Now, he's facing 10 counts of aggravated sexual abuse against 4 women. Oh, they're so good.
I know, they're so good.
So we already unveiled all 4. So coming up, the woman helping find love for our Buckeye Basher is joining us on the couch.
That's right.
So Zach's going to have a hard time picking one.
He's going to have a tough time.
I don't know how he'll do it.
Now, Empire star Jussie Smollett is responding to claims he paid 2 Nigerian brothers $3,500 to attack him in Chicago. To Zach's pick, but let's show you a small clip of the 4 finalists vying to win Zach's heart in case anyone missed it last weekend. So let's take a look.
One of my top date rules that I give my clients. Look your best. I mean,
men and women.
Men and women.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Or to take the garbage out? Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
The pressure's on, Bridget. The pressure's on.
Don't scare her yet.
2 deadly plane crashes happening in 2 different states within minutes of each other. Now, the first one happened south of Boston. Authorities in Texas say there are no signs of any survivors following an Amazon plane crash just east of Houston. Now, remnants of packages could be seen in the water where it crashed yesterday.
And being a first-time mom can be a little scary.
It sure is, especially when it gets a little closer and closer to the due date. So we've gathered together 2 well-known moms, Mindy Dreher and Michaela Hunt, co-host of What Matters with Mindy and Michaela on 610 WTVN Radio, to give me some parenting advice, along with some advice for Maria as well. After I thought it's just a good whiff and like, oh man, I need to change the diaper.
Time to change.
Yeah. And there are so many changes also this year. No host for the Oscars, and now the stars are being told you have to run from your seat to the stage 90 seconds. A total 180. Marshall looks completely better. Check this out. We're here along 70 West. There's just some traffic, typical traffic at this hour, but it's the shoulders and ramp areas that are still a bit slick, and that's where we found nearly a dozen drivers stuck. For Mark, he never made it to work this morning.
About 20 minutes I've been shoveling this. I've been using an ice scraper trying to clear the road for the last 2 hours.
He wasn't the only one stuck on the shoulder. We saw a handful of cars along 315 and 670 digging out or simply abandoning their cars.
There was 4 other cars here earlier that got towed out. The plows just couldn't come down through here, so the rest of us are just hopefully able to dig out.
The plow drivers say this was a perfect storm.
This was a good one. It came at nighttime when the temperatures were cold, and it didn't let up. It snowed for a good 7 hours straight.
Jeff Burns with the Franklin County Engineers has been plowing for 2 decades. He says he knows a thing or two about clearing the roads.
It can be kind of treacherous. We just have to slow down and watch what we're doing.
Some drivers taken by surprise as they hit the streets.
It's pretty bad, It's okay though, not too bad. The main streets are okay, but the side streets are terrible.
As for Mark, he needed an extra push to get his car out of the snow. Photojournalist Jay Novotny lending a helping hand. After being stuck for 3 hours, Mark says he's thinking about getting a truck next time, or at least have extra supplies handy.
Shovel and kitty litter.
Yay, you got him out! Woo! Woo! And back out here live, you can see things are pretty much spick and span practically, so things are running smoothly. ODOT tells me that 130 crews will remain out here for the rest of the day, again, to make sure everything is nice and clean and safe for everyone out there. For now, reporting live here in Mobile Track, Jackie Orozco, ABC 6 News. This is the apartment cops came to revive Jeremy Davis after they say he was overdosing. But once they did, that's when they say he took the officer's cruiser and took off. Take a good look at this guy. Police say Jeremy Davis is a bold criminal and on the run.
I would say to the public that they should be cautious. Who knows if you're willing to steal a police cruiser, what else are you willing to do?
Robert Stanley says the 25-year-old is dating his daughter and stopped by the apartment to see her, but he didn't look so well.
He seemed to like groggy, like he was ready to fall out or something. When he got in the living room, he fell down on the floor. And when he fell on the floor, he stopped like breathing. So I tried to help him out by giving him mouth to mouth and CPR, and I hollered for somebody to call 911.
When police arrived Friday morning, they had Narcan at hand.
The officers revived the suspect who had a fading pulse and brought him back basically from dying.
That's a confirmation on the suspect.
But the story doesn't end there. Officers found out Davis had an active warrant out for his arrest.
The officers tried to apprehend him. At that time, a foot chase pursued, and the suspect double-backed and was able to enter into one of the cruisers that was running.
About 5 minutes later, cops found the stolen police cruiser in this alley, abandoned on Pearl Street and Woodrow Avenue.
That's insane. That's wild.
An all-out manhunt was on, but no sign of Davis. The cruiser had a few scratches, but no one was hurt. And now Davis is facing a lot more criminal charges.
Get the help that you need, man. You know, life's too short to go down that road.
While Stanley had this to say to his daughter's boyfriend.
And he's never coming here again because we don't need this drama at my daughter's house. We're 2 children.
In South Columbus, Jackie Orozco, ABC 6 News. Well, prosecutors say that the 25-year-old is a flight risk and a danger to the community. That's why he's still locked up here in jail. And now this comes after officers saved his life using naloxone after he takes a police cruiser for a joyride after he found out he had an active warrant for his arrest. Friday morning, loved ones called 911 after they thought 25-year-old Jeremy Davis was dying from a drug overdose.
Is he breathing?
Is he breathing? I don't think so, ma'am. He just fell out. He's blue and purple.
In this police body cam video, you see his girlfriend's father, Robert Stanley, giving him chest compressions.
Jeremy.
Once cops give him a shot of naloxone, Davis wakes up.
Jeremy, you was dead, bro.
Yeah, you were.
Then Officer Sullivan moves his cruiser for the medics and left his keys in the ignition. Davis told medics he may have taken fentanyl. This is when another officer finds out Davis has an active warrant for theft.
When I reach out, and bam, he hits me and he just takes off running.
Then steals Officer Sullivan's cruiser.
I need cars headed for 112 location.
All of this happening while Officer Sullivan had no idea his cruiser was just stolen.
Rick just said he got in the cop car and took off.
He's not in the cop car because there's a cruiser, there's a cruiser.
Oh. Cops chase Davis for about 5 minutes before he disappears.
Columbus Place. Is anyone else supposed to be up here?
There better not be nobody in my house.
As officers have their guns drawn, neighbors understandably shaken up.
Gee, Bruce, this is insane.
You're fine.
We were the first on the scene where cops found the stolen cruiser, but no sign of Davis. He was on the run for 4 days until he finally turned himself in. Thursday morning,
I'll set $50,000 cash for sure.
He faced a judge and remains locked up in jail.
Now, Davis has a long criminal history, and he violated his parole when he stole that cruiser. Now, the judge set his bond at $50,000 and expected back in court next Friday. For now, reporting live here in downtown Columbus, Jackie Orozco, ABC 6 News. Columbus police just released the names of the 3 victims. This 35-year-old Ryan Riley, Johnny Collins, also 35, and 58-year-old Glenn Featherstone. Now, they were all thrown from their vehicle right here, and I spoke with one family friend, and they said that at least one of the victims leaves behind a wife and 2 children. Hard to see the horrifying aftermath. Almost looked like a train smashed into this SUV, but didn't.
For reasons unknown, left the roadway. Actually didn't cross the tracks, but kind of paralleled the tracks.
Police say the SUV rolled over several times, propelling all 3 men inside. They were pronounced dead on the scene. Family and friends overwhelmed with emotion.
It's a terrible thing, man. He's a great guy.
Kevin Jarvis says the driver was his longtime friend and business partner. He says his friend was also a father of 2, and his wife is expecting their 3rd.
Happy-go-lucky guy, just a great father. Like last night, he was at the ball game with his kids.
Police believe the crash happened around 2 or 3 Friday morning, and speed may be to blame. But Jarvis doesn't think so.
He told me that there was something wrong with that truck. It was locking up the axle or something, and it's all-wheel drive.
It wasn't until sunrise when someone saw the mangled SUV and called 911.
I can tell you I've worked this part of town before. It's a dark area at night, but again, we haven't had a history of a lot of serious crashes here.
Crucial hours loved ones think that could have been used to save their lives.
Me and Ryan were super close. Best friend I ever had. Great guy.
As family members are left to pick up the pieces, they're also left with so many unanswered questions. Now, the speed limit on McKinley Avenue is 50 miles an hour, but once you get to a curve, it goes down to 30. And again, police officers believe that speed may have been a factor. If you have any information on this crash, call Crime Stoppers. For now, reporting live here in the West Side, Jackie Orozco, ABC 6 News. Now, a bittersweet year for the now former police chief of Westerville. As Joe Morbitzer moves to head the Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation, he reflects on his long law enforcement career. The hardest moment of his time as chief was when he lost 2 of his men. I spoke one-on-one with him. 36 years in law enforcement.
It's bittersweet. You know, I've been here a long time.
13 of those years, Joe Morbitzer served as the Westerville police chief. He retired this January.
My mom and dad would be very, very proud of him. And I think he will miss being the chief.
Ahead of you there, but you're up to.
But on February 10th, 2018, the city went dark as 2 officers were killed in the line of duty.
They went out of their way to help citizens, a lot of times on their own time, where they wanted no notoriety, they wanted nothing for it other than to improve relationships.
39-year-old Officer Eric Joring and 54-year-old Anthony Tony Morelli responded to a domestic violence call. Both were shot and killed that day.
When that happens, it's devastating, but when it's an organization that's tight-knit, it's even more devastating.
To make matters worse, the chief says people were calling their radio room, threatening and screaming vulgarities at officers. At that time, he was overwhelmed with emotion.
And quite frankly, there's a special place in hell for those people.
But Central Ohio and beyond managed to wrap its arms around everyone affected.
I look at the other police departments that came in and worked the street for us. It just gave our staff a time to heal a little bit.
Even President Trump sending his condolences on Twitter. As for the Morellis and Jorings, they too found support. The widows of the officers never wanted to speak with the media, but about a month after their deaths, the Fraternal Order of Police gave us this video of them.
We appreciate everything that you've done for us.
I appreciate everything that has been done, but my girls and I have to find a new norm. We have to learn to move forward without Eric, but honor him.
Not only did thousands honor the officers during their funerals, but they helped the families financially. More than $500,000 was raised on the FOP's GoFundMe website. Westerville North High School honored Anthony Morelli with a permanent memorial. He was a resource officer there for many years, and his 2 kids were graduates at that school. Then in June, Morelli's daughter, Elizabeth, got married. Westerville police congratulated the happy couple on Twitter, saying, "We know Tony is smiling down on them."
And we just found out right at Christmas that she's going to have her first child. Oh, wow. So they're very excited.
While the Jorings have Sam, his canine partner, to help with the healing process.
Eric's family and his daughters are moving forward too. You know, and it's got to be tough for young kids especially.
The family requested the canine to live with them after the officer's passing. The two were inseparable, especially during community events.
But every time I would go in the dunk tank, I'd look over and Eric would just be smiling at me the whole time. You know, and Sam would be just sitting there, and I swear the dog was smiling at me too, that I got dunked every single time.
Chief Mulbertser says he'll never forget Morelli's taste in music when he hit the gym.
And then Tony Morelli, he was a workout-aholic down in our workout facility, and he always played hardcore, old, heavy metal rock. And at times I could hear it up here. And what I wouldn't give to hear that again.
As time goes on, Mulbertser says it's taught him not to take anything for granted.
You never forget, and we never want to forget, but you do have to move in a new direction.
Mulbertser says he will still be very involved in the community. He hopes people will never forget what these men and women sacrifice every day.
When you see those public safety professionals, you thank them for what they do.
Because you never know when it's their end of watch.